Hey everybody, what's up? Circus here, coming at you with another Battle Phase recap video. This is going to be about Battle Phase 80. It's coming out a little late this week because we've had so much awesome content on the channel this week. We had a box review, we had KW Row on here, we had Rogue decks. I mean, channel's been blowing up this week, so thank you to everybody for helping us out with that. But I got Ryi here. He's the guy that casted on Monday. How are you?
Hello, YouTube. I'm doing well. How are you, Circus?
Oh, not too bad. I love doing these because we get to highlight, the Battle Phase series and the players that were in it, and what a good time we're having every week.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right, so this week we can look at the overall breakdown. Black Wings back with a vengeance. They got kind of hit in the power rankings. They didn't score a lot of points, but people were definitely playing them this week.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of happened recently was Witchcrafters got a lot of more rep, kind of in terms from the top players in the community. Buns won a battle phase not too long ago with them, and then in tournament play, they still have kind of been struggling a little bit, but a lot of the top players are saying, yeah, it's really good. It's just people, it's like that Chris Ron mentality again. And because of that, the natural counters to Witchcrafters, the Black Wings, the heavy back row Shiranui, that Shiranui is starting to drop things like Lancia and just go more back row, more Sphere Kribos, etc., etc. You start seeing that kind of come out again. So that's why I'm not really surprised that Black Wing is so high and Shiranui is pretty up there too. When it goes to the top 32, it gets a little bit more interesting. But yeah, and was not surprised a lot of people entered.
Well, I was surprised. Blue Eyes is still having a lot of representation with 15 people in the tournament.
Yeah, Blue Eyes is it's always been that deck if it loses to itself, and that's kind of continuing here for sure.
Yeah, and the deck
it's definitely come back as a strong pick.
I was gonna say, and then the deck that won the KC main stage 1 or main tournament stage 1, Ritual Beast, underrepresented with only 4.
Yeah, Ritual Beast, it's just one of those older decks that just isn't popular. It is a good deck, but I do also feel like with also E-Sabers coming back kind of a little bit there too, you're gonna start seeing Ritual Beast and Blue Eyes and Element Saber. Those are the two decks that Ritual Beast doesn't really want to run into. And of course, KC being best of 1. Just a different format than the best of 3, where everyone just has poisonous winds and stuff.
Right.
So,
all right, we'll move on to top 32 here. As you can see, Witchcrafters actually was the one that converted better, even though it had less representation than Black Wings. But it's pretty much the same top 3: Witchcrafters, Black Wings, Blue Eyes.
Yeah, for the most part. If I remember correctly, Witchcrafters made it all the way to like top 8 or something. Something like that around.
Yeah,
that
we'll
mark.
check that out.
And then, funny enough, and then next Battle Phase EU, Witchcrafters kind of fell off the face of the planet. I think they had like 4 tops or something. So It's kind of still like a roller coaster with the deck. I think people are, it's kind of the end of optimization. Like here's the deck, it's been optimized. Now we're at that phase where people are going to start countering. Their side deck is if it's heavily represented and it continues being heavily represented, people are going to put counters in their deck for it. And then we'll see exactly kind of where it plays out. Very surprised at 4 Blue Eyes, if I'm being honest. That is,
yeah,
that would be lower.
Exactly.
And then a couple of meme decks here and there.
I was going to say Spice, but yeah, Dragoonity, Magician Girls, Evil Eye, Goki, Lunalights. It's just kind of all over the place.
It's as the meta kind of gets turbulent, these decks, these top 32s, and if you actually see in the Battle Phase EU as well, it was huge, the top 32 list. So many different unique decks in there, and of course Cyber Dragon won that tournament, so it was like, whoa, okay, now Cyber Dragon's in the mix. So
yeah, we're back. Maybe
we're back. Yeah. so it's definitely still a turbulent time in the meta. I'm gonna estimate that probably halfway through the month. If this gets uploaded tomorrow, we're gonna see it kind of start to settle, unless this new box just makes it even more turbulent. So
we'll have to see how Infernities work out. All right, we're going to narrow it down a little bit more from the top 32 down to the top 8. In the top 8 is Zaga Zaga, as you can see here, playing Dragoonities.
Yeah, he had some exciting plays for sure. I remember there was a crazy. We'll actually watch it on one of our clips here, where he and his opponent were both playing Offerings to the Doomed. So
Oh
just at
yeah,
one
yeah,
point
yeah.
in the tournament, it was just them going back and forth, offerings each other and top decking monsters. And he actually took the wins. I was like, "What is this?" It was insane. But yeah, I mean, it's still good old Dragunities. They just lost Hatronade, and he did well with them.
All right, and okay, also in the top 8 is SINMAVIS. He was playing Heroes. Heroes never
Yeah,
die. They just keep coming back,
heroes
don't they?
never die. It's going to be interesting to see if we get any support with this, because I would imagine with Stratos coming out, it's going to be a main box UR. Some hero support will come out, which definitely they need after Violent got hit, because they have not been able to really make it super far in tournaments. But you still see them in the top 8s and stuff.
Okay, and moving on. This one, Witchcrafters top 8. I mean,
There you go.
not too bad. Obviously, didn't move on from this point, but um, I think it's a matter of people learning the deck at this point, right? You said it's optimized. Now it's how do I play it and make the optimal plays?
Right. And how will people counter against it? You know, if everyone starts running Last Day of the Witch, which would literally only counter this deck, you know, or Witchcrafter is going to have a hard time getting through a tournament. And you know, you're starting to see things like Machine Angel Ritual being dropped, which you know was cheeky and cool at the beginning, but like, really, come on, guys, Machine Angel Ritual,
Right.
like, come on,
Hey, it worked. It
something more
worked.
useful. So I'm glad to see the deck finally get, you know, an actual, yeah, an optimized state. And yeah, it just has, now we're at that stage where other people know what the optimized deck version is. They're going to start bringing counters, and will it survive, or it will be like a Crystron situation where it's like, well, yeah, system down kills my deck, so I'm not going to bother bringing it unless I'm, you know, one of the top players in the world. And even then, if my opponent just gets lucky with system down, I'm going to lose. So
Right. Okay, moving on for the last person in the top 8. Shiranui, and you're gonna see the joke there. The man's sleeping because it's a little boring at this point, right?
yeah, we're going back to a heavy back row centric meta. It is because the introduction of Witchcrafters and of course E-Sabers coming back as well. E-Sabers, they don't play Cosmic, so you can control them with back row a lot. You're seeing a lot more bad aim across all decks for the most part. But any deck that can take abuse of back row. So Shiranui Goki, actually, funny enough, is probably one of the better back row decks. So we'll see if that deck gets more representation soon. But yeah, I mean, this literally look that half the deck. How many Shiranui monsters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Shiranui monsters, 2 generic zombies, 1 generic spell, and the rest all trap cards.
I was gonna say I was surprised that they had 9 monsters.
Just, I mean, it's disgusting to look at, but this is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links meta that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully this changes for XCs, because I don't see how XCs can survive with Ballista, Fiendish Chain's fine, but Floodgate, Ballista, Bad Aim, Karma Cut, those all immediately will stop an XC summon. So
Well, I was gonna say this is kind of what Yu-Gi-Oh was, Duel Links was when it first came out. It's just we're beefed up a little bit, right? Maybe the monsters can do a little bit more, but 9 or 10 monsters, the rest just complete back row.
well, yeah, that was the thing back in the day, right? Like you would play something like Gladiator Beast with a deck list that looks like this. Just look at more Wall of D's and stuff.
Right.
The only difference is back then your opponent would just set 3, stall. Finally, I drew a monster. I can get in there. Nowadays, it's, oh, hey, yeah, I drew Squire, so I have immense advantage over you because
Right.
I'm going to synchro this turn. You have to interrupt me. If you don't successfully do so, then I have a huge monster with level augmentation. If you are successful, that's fine. I'll just synchro from the grave. So it's all good.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of the same game, just accelerated, right? It's
right. Yeah.
same kind of
part,
concept.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if this continues long enough, Konami will eventually be like, yeah, we got to boost XC sales, and they'll do something about it. They'll release some sort of extra removal for back row. They have to. I just can't see a world where they don't.
All right, moving on to the top 4. You mad? Also playing Shiranui. So there you go. Very similar list, except
aims, yeah.
Let's see. He's playing 1 less monster. Do you count the Lancia as monsters? I mean, I guess you can, but typically they're not used that way.
I guess you can tribute floodgated monsters with them, so there is that advantage. I would count them as like a half monster.
Half monster, okay.
But it is actually interesting he's still using Lancia. A lot of people have started dropping the Lancia in favor of either more traps or even Sphere Kribo or something like that. Mostly more traps. That way they can, because like one well-placed trap, if your opponent isn't playing Machine Angel Ritual or Forbidden Lance, or they just don't have it at the time, pretty much just ends that matchup between those two decks. So it's kind of why you're seeing it a lot more. And then kind of Lancia being in the side deck. One thing I didn't talk about is the I forget what the card's called. So that tuner in his side deck.
In the side deck, yeah.
Yeah, it's the something of justice, whatever. Basically, you discard it and you banish 2 light monsters for the blue eyes matchup, so they don't get free blue eyes with their stones.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, you don't want Spirit of Dragon coming out and stopping your graveyard plays. So that's why you're starting to see a lot more of those, especially with blue eyes still having high representation.
And we saw Stromberg, the trap where you can shuffle 2 cards from the graveyards back into the deck.
Transmigration Prophecy, yeah, that's a really good trap. I
mean, you do the same thing to the blue eyes players, yeah. They get the white stone.
That one's even better
shuffled back in.
Yeah, that one's even better because that'll affect more matchups, not just blue eyes, in my opinion.
Right.
But then again, when your back row is always 3 set, you probably don't have space.
All right, moving on to the last of the top 4. Dark Magician with True Perm.
Yeah, he bricked really bad from what I remember. In his final match, I think in the top 4, yeah, that's where he ended. Yeah. Where he went 2 games where he just didn't open his combo. It was hilarious since he's playing balance. So that was funny. But yeah, a standard Dark Magician with Heat Wave in there. Their main monsters is not an effect monster, so they can still summon while their opponent can't. But it is funny how the limit 2 the rod seems to be affecting them. I don't know.
Well, it's hilarious because we were just giving Shiranui a hard time. This guy's got 7 monsters, and the rest are all spells and traps.
Yeah, I think the big difference, right, is this is all centric over getting those monsters. Like Illusion will get your monsters. Illusion of Magic and Dark Magician of Illusion. The Rod searches your whole deck. The whole deck searches itself, so it makes a little bit more sense.
How this deck looked even a couple months ago. You'd have more Illusions in there, another Rod. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more monsters. Now it's like, we only need 7.
Well, it's something that's, a lot of people actually don't consider when cards get hit on the limit list. A lot of the time, if the meta is stale, it won't actually shake up the meta at all. All it will make is the decks that are currently strong will just play a more stally version of what they are because they can no longer deal with big threats. So think of E-Sabers, right? E-Sabers is such an aggressive deck back in the day. They'd Cosmic Cyclone, their own Palace, then Purgatrio you, and that's it, you're dead. They don't have Cosmic Cyclone anymore, so they have to play a lot around every single back row in the game. That's why they're becoming stall sabers, Well,
I always compare it to like a young boxer versus an old boxer, right?
Right.
The deck comes out, he's a new boxer. He's just in there, just fists a fly in the older boxers. And they kick back, play a little bit more defense, and that's how a deck is getting old. Is it goes into its stall phase.
And the reason that's happening is because Konami doesn't really ban the problem cards. They ban the cards that are around them, or they'll put like Cosmic Cyclone at 3, but they haven't really put anything else at 3 besides specific archetypes. They haven't done like Cosmic and Floodgate is now at 3. That would screw over so many decks. You know what I mean?
Right.
So until they do something like that, the ban list actually will not be shaking up the meta. It'll just simply make the strong decks play more of a passive way, so they can win more games in general. And that's just what is happening. It happened to E-Sabers, happened to Dark Lords before they got kicked out of the meta. Now it's just happening to Dark Magician and Shiranui to an extent too.
All right, moving on to second place here. VIDUGAVIA? Sorry if I butchered your name there, buddy, but also playing Shiranui.
He actually said this was his first battle phase, and this is his first, or I don't know if he said first battle phase or first time he's placed in anything meaningful, but he was super excited in the chat. So shout outs to him. Thank you for playing.
And obviously he didn't get the memo about monsters because he's playing way too many.
He's actually playing 3 tuners. That's hilarious. One less Kazuki. Maybe he doesn't have 2. Maybe he only plays 1. It is in an older box. Kind of annoying to get into. 2 is kind of what they play. 2 lances in the main. That's kind of been dropped as well. Kind of in the main. 3 Squire and 3 of the tuners that usually see 2 and 2. So that's super interesting. And then only 1 Floodgate and 1.
Maybe this is the real spice. Maybe the changes everybody else has been making don't work because look where he is and look where they are. That's all I'm saying.
I do think that it probably has more to do with his side deck. His side deck's really, really smart, I would say. the 2 chain disappearance. Chain disappearance is an amazing side deck card, and I think people are starting to play it more and more. But it takes care of so much in this meta. It takes out Witchcrafter. It can take out Blackwing. It depends on what you hit. It takes out Shiranui. It can take out Alistairs if they don't have a Palace of the Elemental Lords. So it's a really good card right now. I'm expecting to see it even more. And then of course the Lava Golem just takes care of so many.
You gotta have Lava Golem in every deck. I think that should just be a requirement.
Sometimes, especially when these games go for like 50 minutes, you're like, damn, if
put them on a timer.
If someone just had Lava Golem, they'd win.
We'd be done by now. Or everybody should have to play Shadow Game.
Yeah. Well, it's actually funny you say that. In other card games, if someone runs out of time, the Shadow Game-esque effect kind of kicks in.
Okay. The game. Let's get this over with. All right, moving on to the grand champion, FAKEZIX. With blue eyes.
Again,
blue eyes.
With blue eyes. How many tournaments, how many battle phases has blue eyes just dominated in now? It's pretty crazy.
Know. We'd have to go back and look, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this is kind of, for the most part, the build you see. A couple of slight changes with the back row and stuff. Some people play Karma Cut. Some people like to play the Counter Trap. It's just a really good deck. It has a really good Witchcrafter matchup, which is the popular deck right now. And all its other matchups are pretty much either even or winning. The worst thing about Blue Eyes, again, is just your opening hand. If you just draw bad, you're going to lose. Even his side deck is just so simple, 2 spheres, 2 necros, and 2 cosmics. That's all I need.
Keep it simple.
Life. Yeah, it's not a hard life. It's a simple life. We're straightforward. I have a good hand. Nice, I win. I don't. Next time.
Right. Best 2 out of 3. Best 2 out of 3.
Yeah, best 2 out of 3. This is the version of Blue Eyes I see play. There have been some spicy picks where people play that new Blue Eyes skill in the side deck.
Oh, yeah.
Actually super interesting because it can banish problem monsters like Ascites and stuff.
I don't know if it's a cheesy version or if it's going to be the new standard, Was it Ultimate Dragons, I think it's called?
Yeah, Ultimate Dragons, because there was the matchup. It was Lunalight versus Blue Eyes, and Blue Eyes lost because he didn't have Ultimate. If he had Ultimate Dragons, he would have won.
Right, because it can attack twice, and then at the end of the damage step, it banishes the monster.
Like, and it can't be destroyed, so it's like, but of course, you
put your helmet on your Blue Eyes and send him in there.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, right? Did he really need 2 Necros? Did he really need 2 Spheres, 2 Cosmics? 2 Cosmics especially. Did you really need those 2 Cosmics? I feel like if you snuck in an Ultimate Dragon in there, just to cover your matchups with like stupid shit like Lunalights, like there's the one Lunalight player and you got matched with him. Good thing you have Ultimate Dragons. I don't know.
I mean, you're playing counter traps pretty much as it is anyways,
Yeah. I mean, the counter traps, they're, for Veer, right? Yeah. If Veer activates her effect, you activate counter traps. You can't change.
Well, I mean, you even got the Fiendish Chain, the Ultimate Providence. I mean, all that. I mean, you're basically countering what's going on. So
yeah. So it might
do
be
you really need the Cosmics? But
we'll have to look at more data, but it was funny to see because some people did it and it worked. That's the funny part. It worked.
All right. So why don't we move on to replays here and see some of the highlights that were going on?
Let's do it.
All right, the first replay we got here is with UMAD. He finished in the top 4, but in the top 32, he did have a slip-up against Shiny Sophion.
Yeah, this was one of those duels that made you scratch your head a little bit. He was up a game, but in the follow-up game, he sets his Shiranui card, or his Solitaire play, sets his 2 back row, and then passes over into 3 back row into Suplex, summon 2 monsters. Now, Gokis, if they have Suplex and Cobra Strike, that's it. That's game because one swings, the other one swings and boosts. GG. He activates Ballista Squad. It is not a damage step card, so whatever's swinging into you will still get to replay their attack. If it was a damage step card, they would not be able to. And if he activates a damage step, he targets a back row, which is the worst thing he could have hit. Because if he targeted any of the 2 monsters, he would have lived because it would just gotten tributed and he would have boosted, did like 3k damage. Totally fine. If he simply didn't activate the back row at all and just took the 2 hits, same situation. Instead, he tributes his monster, hits a back row, and then Sophion says, all right, I swing with both monsters and win the game.
GG.
GG. So very interesting situation that they were in. I think he was too far into the back row game and thinking, I have 2 back row, yet she has 3. I got to equal it out.
Oh, wait, what do Gokis do?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It was just funny to see live on stream, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Chat just exploded. They were like, what just happened?
All right, the next replay that we have for you is Zaga Zaga versus Small Cheese in the top 32. Zaga Zaga moved on to the top 8 with Dragoonity, but this is the offerings to the Doomed showdown that Ryi was talking about earlier.
Yeah, it was quite the interesting experience for sure. You see it start off in the beginning in the draw phase. He offerings to the Doomed. He had it in hand, but wanted to get an extra card first off. Smacks the Veer, amazing. So we've been seeing offerings kind of come up more and more. And then he goes follow up, summon a Dux, try to get into a second Ascalon. In response, hits him with his own offerings to the Doomed. So I was like, okay, I guess Witchcrafter's playing offerings now.
Why not? Why not?
Why not? It is good against Dragoonities, except not good against. Only one's not good against is Ascalon, because you pop him, all of a sudden he summons another monster. So you're thinking, okay, it's okay. That's nothing bad. Then bam, Golden Dragon Summoner. The one thing they did not want to see, tributes himself to return the Ascalon to the extra deck. So at this point, it's like, why are you playing this? And why did it just like destroy my strategy? He top deck a monster. That's enough for lethal, but surprise! Second offerings.
Another one, yeah. They just keep coming.
And then he's got nothing. And then Zaga Zaga has to top deck a monster. That's his only way he's gonna win. Top deck the one monster he needed. 1800 attack, swings for lethal. I lost my mind because the chances
of all that happening,
he's probably only playing one Golden Dragon Summoner. There's no way he's playing
right.
More. In fact, they had that both his offerings and his opponent had offerings, and his opponent top decked into monsters 3 times in a row.
Right. That obviously had to be a side deck card. I mean, that
and then after, and both players had to skip turns. They couldn't draw, so it was just like the absurdity of that duel. If I was on either side of the duel, I'd be like, okay, yeah, whatever. That was literally a coin flip. We could just flip a coin and saw who won.
Well, the thing was that was game 3 too. So whoever won that one was moving on.
Yeah, it was insane.
What a way to
go
out for
crazy.
Small
I was
Cheese.
going crazy. It was a good time.
All right, the replays are always a lot of fun. I like watching them. So, any final thoughts before we get out of here for next week?
So obviously next week with a new box, I want to see how the new box will impact the meta, if at all. Obviously last week we also both said we wanted to see optimization from Witchcrafters, and we got that. So now I want to see how the rest of the meta will, interact with that. Or I'm assuming we're going to see a lot more Karma Cuts, a lot more counter traps, a lot less like Lancias and stuff like that, and more of like the heavier back row, because that's just the thing that makes that deck struggle. I'm expecting to see that, probably less Cosmics as well, because Lightsworn decks, they don't play back row. Oh well, except Zaga and versus that one, they play it apparently. I want to see how the box will interact with the meta.
Infernities. People are hyping this up like crazy. It better do something or I'm going to be upset.
Unless you're PDS, you're looking at Weather Pals or whatever they're called. I don't know.
He says that's the deck.
Actually, they both say it. So
Mythiarch's pretty hot on Evil Eye still, so don't listen to that guy.
Hey, didn't Evil Eye top? I think.
Top 32. Let's be honest.
Top 32, listen, with all TCG strong decks, I always go in with low expectations, maybe not low, but like medium expectations, because they said the same thing about Mermails, and I was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Apparently, Infernity Barrier was confirmed, which is like an Omni Negate, and all you have to do is control an Infernity, and that was confirmed in Konami, because in Konami's box review they said combo this one with Infernity Barrier. So it's like, okay, well then I have Infernity Barrier, even though you haven't confirmed it. There you go, confirmed by Konami.
In a roundabout way.
See. Yeah, we'll have to see. It is an interesting idea. I'm sure the box should be out before Battle Phase Friday. And of course, the first tournament's always a shit show.
Oh, they're the best. Yeah.
So we'll just have to see. That's all. I just want to see if the new box will impact the meta, and if not, I want to see how the meta is going to react to the uptick in back row heavy strategies.
Well, I almost feel like this is the Witchcrafter thing all over again. We have an event with cards. We have a box coming out. Maybe this is the one. You said Witchcrafters was supposed to be the one. It was supposed to be the next tier 1 deck, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Infernities.
Maybe. I mean, Witchcraft isn't bad. I think you could easily argue tier 3 or tier 2. I'm a little bit more hesitant. Some people are saying they're the only tier 1 deck, in the meta. And while they definitely have had an impact on the meta, a lot more karma cuts, a lot more counter traps. Those cards were being played even before that deck came into the meta. And if you consider that a tier 1 deck, it is a very weak tier 1 deck because it crumples under back row. It's not like Black Wings where it's like you floodgate a monster, but now they have all these other monsters in hand. It's literally if they don't have their Forbidden Lance or the Machine Angel Ritual Engrave and you hit them with a Ballista Squad, they're dead.
Right. It's over.
It's like
there's no coming back. Yeah.
So, I want to see. I just want to see more, Like, I don't want another situation where everyone says Crystons are tier 1, but the deck underperforms for months and months and months and months, and people just say, oh, only top performing players do well on it. I understand that, and that may be true, but if that's the case, then it's not a tier 1 deck.
That's the reason the power rankings exist in the first place.
Exactly. Maybe in a strength, like if we theoretically took the best hands out of every deck and every player is the best player alive, maybe you could argue tier 1, but I just want to see the reality of things, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. All right. We're going to call it there. We'll see how it goes next week. I hope you guys like the video. I like doing every video we have. I really do, because it's fun just to talk about the game. We do it 7 days a week here because we love Duel Links. We love you guys more than anything. So
very true.
If you love us back, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. Make sure to get in the Discord because then you can join Battle Phase because that's where you're going to get notifications about it. Don't forget about Gamersupps. There's a link for that down below. You can get 10% off. It's good stuff. We all like it. Oh, and don't forget Battle Phases. They're always free, Ryi. Always free.
They are always free, up to 172 slots. So if you don't get in, you subscribe to the channel, you're always in.
No problem. All right. We're going to see you next time. I'm Circus, and that's Ryi.
Bye, YouTube.
See ya.